B minor, B minor 11. Oh, that's way better. Could this be the open B minor chord you've been waiting for? Hey, welcome back to the Chord Lab. I'm here with Dr. Dave, and we'd like to teach you a chord that could be a game changer. Keep watching until the end because we'll show you the best keys to play this chord in as well. Dr. Dave, are you ready? I sure am. Okay, let's go. I taught a worship workshop at a church recently, and as I watched the guitarists on the worship team play, I realized something. Even though the songs they were playing had B minor chords in the charts, they didn't play them. They substituted something else for the B minor chords, and those chords didn't always work. Now, these weren't chord substitutions, which can be an intentional choice. When I asked them about the chords, they basically said, well, we don't like to play B minor because it's hard. It's typically a bar chord. And they're right. B minor is typically a closed voicing chord. Let's have a look at it right now. This is a full B minor bar chord here on the 2nd fret. Now, if your guitar hasn't been set up properly or the action is too high, this can be quite a juggernaut to get under your fingers, especially this close to the nut. The notes are B, F sharp, B, D, and F sharp. The degrees are root, 5th, root, minor 3rd, and 5th. So some people play it without the root to avoid the bar chord, and it becomes a second inversion chord with F sharp, B, D, and F sharp, with degrees 5th, root, minor 3rd, and 5th. But with the 5th in the bass, it sounds less final and less anchored. Do you agree? So I presented the guitarists at this church with another option, the option I'm about to share with you. It's the B minor 11 chord. I'll play it for you and then I'll break it down. The notes are B, open D, A, D, and open E. This is no longer a bar chord. It has 2 open notes. The degrees are root, minor 3rd, minor 7th, minor 3rd, and 11th. Note that this voicing does not contain a 5th. That's okay. Of all the degrees in a chord, the 5th is the most expendable. I mean, I love the 5th, but remember, the root determines the identity, and the 3rd determines the quality. In jazz circles, a chord that omits the 5th can be called a shell voicing. So how do we go about building this shape physically? Well, we can go about it in a few different ways. We can stack the fingers from low to high. We can place our first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string for B. We can place our 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string for A. And we can place our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string for D. Another way is to start with a D major chord, like you may already know. Then take your first finger away and replace it with your 2nd finger, and then place your 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string for the low B. Lastly, perhaps you're familiar with a D over F sharp chord. I like to mute the 5th string because I don't love that open A. This is a D major chord in 1st inversion with a 3rd in the bass. Well, if you can voice that with your 1st finger on the 6th string, you can just move it over to the 5th string and you're good to go. You can even omit the 11th on the 1st string and just have a B minor 7. You can strum it. Or you can fingerstyle it. And it sounds great. But again, what's special about these voicings is that they are open, no bar chord. Now, bar chords are inevitable at some point, but it's nice to have an alternative in the meantime, and this approach is ideal. Before we continue, if you've gotten some value from this video, please like and subscribe. We appreciate your support. Now, what's the application for learning this chord? Where can we use it? Well, if you play in the key of G major, and most worship guitarists do, you'll find that you now have access to the minor 3 chord as an open chord, because that's where B minor can be found. You can drop this chord right in. What about the key of D major? Well, the B minor chord is the minor 6, right? Any other major keys where this would work? A major. B minor is the minor 2. What about minor keys? E minor for starters. B minor is the minor 5. And of course, B minor itself, where that chord is the minor 1 chord. There are other possibilities, including modes, but you get the idea. This chord is versatile, useful, easier to play, and it sounds great. Now, if you're looking for some beautiful open E minor chords, please check out our Chord Lab episode 2 that is all about E minor color chords. We also have a whole series of YouTube shorts called B Chords at the Beach, where we unpack a bunch of different types and voicings of B chords. So, there's that. Well, was that fun, Dr. Dave? It sure was. Maybe share this video with someone if you think they'd appreciate it.